Hey everyone, John Frechette here, CEO of Moara. That's Moara.io. Moara stands for Mother of All Research Assistants. A lot of people ask me questions about, for instance, a particular research task. They'll say, "Why should I not use or use ChatGPT for this? What tool should I use for this part of my research function, for this industry, for this discipline, etc." So I want to cover a topic I feel is well understood in a lot of different areas, like sales and marketing, like product development, but it's not talked about as often in research. That is, let's call it making a selection between using a general purpose model like ChatGPT or Claude for something versus a vertical tool like Moara or the Undermind search engine, for example. The rules of thumb I cover here are going to be applicable well outside of research, pretty much in anything you're working on, any task you're working on. I think these rules of thumb will apply. The first topic that's super important to cover and reiterate. In other sessions, I've talked about the importance of building a good research tech stack. Once again, in pretty much every function you can be in task you're working on, building a good tech stack is crucial. And some things I'll just bring up quickly. So here's a basic tech stack. You've got whatever search engines you use for literature search, your reference manager or managers, let's call it analytics and modeling tools, and then writing applications. Um, there is, of course, understandably, a general tendency to say, I don't want to subscribe to or I don't want to use multiple tools because that complicates my workflow. I just want to use one or I just want to use two. The reality is that that is, in my opinion, not the direction we're heading in, again, in pretty much any area of research or operations. It really is the case that, at least in our work, even setting aside academia, in our work, believe it or not, what we used to use one or two software tools for, we now use three or four or five. And so I do think software products are getting more specialized, and especially for, let's call it, critical functions you're working on. I think it's going to be really important to try out a ton of different tools and use a ton of different tools. And by the way, that doesn't mean you're using a bunch of interfaces. It might mean one tool is passing data to another. Case in point, here is a more kind of complex and richer tech stack. I think if I were someone who was working constantly on literature reviews, this would be more what my tech stack would look like. You have some AI search engines, you have some traditional search, some discipline specific search engines. Then you have actually a couple different types of reference managers, something that's purely citations and references, something that's more metadata cleaning, workflow engine that's more on the Moara side for what it's worth. And then I think literature analytics and visualizations, such as a tool like Litmaps or Research Rabbit, which visualize references. Again, if I'm doing a lot of literature reviews, I all of a sudden have all of these additional tools I'm using. A lot of people use Obsidian, Notebook LM for full text article reviews and synthesis, and then different writing applications. Maybe you just have one, maybe you have a couple. And ultimately, if you look at a field like sales and marketing or product development, you might even have an orchestration tool bringing these all together. So you don't have to log into five different tools at once. So that's the tech stack is super important. You got to try a bunch of tools. You've got to have a great tech stack. You need to sort of hone and perfect that tech stack. Here's a quick example I've brought up in the past. You've got um, a planning tool might be something like Claude, a few different search engines, reference management, you might use something, then you might have a few different writing applications as well, or tools you use during writing. This is just one basic example. So let's move on to the key, I think a key overarching distinction, and then we can get into examples and use cases. But this is very crucial, in my opinion. Definitely crucial for institutions that are trying to figure out their adoption path for their research users. And then it's important for individuals as well. So here's the characterization. You've got general purpose AI. These are obviously AI models trained on a huge amount of knowledge across all sorts of domains. For me, it's more look and feel. You know it when you see it. You arrive at a site, there's a general chat engine, you ask a question, you get a response. And it's working off of a huge amount of training data versus one specific database. I'll get into the contrasts. Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity. These are the obvious examples we all know. Vertical tools are software applications that use AI. And actually, generally, those tools, including ours, are using APIs that call the big models. And generally, they'll take the big models and maybe inject in a very specific database or inject very specific instructions in. So let me just read the definition. Software built for a specific domain or workflow with AI integrated into a purpose-built UI UX. So generally, not always, but often vertical tools have more of an element of kind of a user interface value proposition. Obviously, the big models are mostly chat. Yes, there's some other things you can do, but the vertical tools generally have an interface. You click through, you kind of scan through things, you can move around things. You can, in our case, tag papers, for example. So it's much more clicking around and working in a user experience. Examples of these include Undermind search engine, which again, it probably integrates some of the big models, but trains it to go through a specific search process on a specific academic paper database. Our tool, which integrates those models to work through references, and then Notebook LM. Not sure the underlying model, probably some Gemini. The point is, the whole idea is you import papers and then it does kind of a full text synthesis. Yes, it's a chat engine, but it's working specifically off those papers. So let me pull up the white paper that we've prepared and I'll go through what I consider 6 important rules of thumb. But one thing I will tell you is that in my own experience, pretty much every, once again, business area, every task you can think of, every kind of sub industry within AI tooling follows the path of folks using general purpose models to tackle issues, and then over time a lot of really specific vertical tools are introduced. An area where it's very mature is in, for instance, social media marketing. An area where it's a little bit more mature is actually in academic research in our area. I would say a lot of researchers are familiar with some of the vertical tools. And when you get into, say, market research, industry research, it's a little bit less mature, but they sort of all go through that evolution. And let's get into specific use cases in the research process, or specific kind of rules of thumb that tell you, should I use a general purpose model or a vertical tool? And I think it's just helpful context. The first distinction I like to cover is diverse and sporadic data and context versus structured and recurring. Okay. Anytime when I am going to say, I'll give you the example I like to bring up is the methodology section of a paper. If I'm working on creating a methodology or structuring a model, oftentimes you are putting together a ton of different things and working on a ton of stuff. One thing is you're incorporating papers. Oftentimes you're going to pick 2 or 3 papers that have great models you really like, and maybe you do want some kind of LLM that you can upload those to, compare and contrast, record your notes in terms of what parts of those models, maybe their control variables you really like. So you'll have some papers, but then you're also going to have some data sets, right? If what I'm doing generally, if I'm coming up with a model or methodology, is I'm going to go into some data sets, maybe even copy and paste some initial fields and sample data, and I'm going to put those into my models. Oftentimes I'm using Claude for that. And then I'm going to, that way we could start to think about, once again, what control variables am I going to use? What's going to be my dependent variable? And I'm going to be comparing data sets as well. On top of it, you're going to have some meetings probably with maybe your supervisor, with the colleagues you're working with. You are going to want to incorporate their feedback as well. So once again, the methodology section of a paper is a nice example where all these different data sources coming together, very sporadic. It's hard to imagine a vertical tool that can sort of capitalize on that well. So it's probably something you should use Claude or ChatGPT for. Structured and recurring, by contrast, if I am working strictly with academic papers, for example, as I might be in a reference management context, then I should use a vertical tool. Okay. And once again, the analogy I'll bring up is, it's a really funny analogy, but actually, as I'm recording this video, I'm thinking about our YouTube operations. And oftentimes, when it comes to actually coming up with a topic and really planning out a session, I'm bringing in tons of different data. I'm using Claude for that. When it comes to doing something simple like figuring out the right titles and descriptions and tags and thumbnails for a video, I actually use a vertical tool called vidIQ for that, because it's all using the same data. Specifically, I'm using YouTube search results. I'm using our YouTube channel data from past videos. And so that's something I use a vertical tool for. Let's go into the next example, and I'll try to speed things up. Small scale versus high volume. Indeed, this kind of should go without saying, and I don't even think I need to come up with examples. The reality is, probably doesn't, you don't need to procure and certainly probably pay monthly for a vertical tool if you're doing something once. Okay. If you're coming up with marketing copy, if you're planning for an event, right? If you've got a conference coming up or something like that, you need to plan a presentation, whatever, and that's a one-off thing. you should probably use Claude or ChatGPT for that because it's a general purpose model. Like I said, it scales across many different use cases. There's no reason you need a vertical tool to prepare for a conference. If it's going to be just one conference, you don't need to pay monthly for it. And by the way, you don't need to put in um, all of these products involve an upfront investment, but vertical tools in particular, they involve an upfront investment of time to figure out how they work. Everyone knows how ChatGPT works, so that's not going to be worthwhile unless you can spread that upfront cost across many different use cases in the future. So, okay, we've got the type of data and context, the volume of use, in short. And then the other one would be novel versus well defined tasks. Indeed, let me just cover this briefly by saying if you need to go through some planning and brainstorming, you don't know exactly how you're going to approach something. As you can imagine, of course, you can't use a vertical tool because you don't really know what you're looking for. The big models, the general purpose models, are going to be great for asking questions like what data set should I be considering? What tools should I be considering? Ironically, that is when we're doing a vendor review and we're trying to find new software, the first thing we do is go to the general purpose models because everything else, sponsored content, it's very hard to sift through the data out there, top 10 lists. So we use these models. So anytime it's not well defined, you've got to do some brainstorming and planning. Use these types of models, even ask questions about what tools you should use in those interactions. However, when a task is really well defined, let's say you have in the context of research, a bunch of papers, you need to screen them according to a specific criteria, and you want to have an interface to do that. That's something where, in our case, you should look at Moara versus ChatGPT or Claude. So, very well defined tasks, you're generally going to be working with a vertical tool. Uh, Look, I'll just say this. Maybe this is in their futures, but when it comes to the big general purpose models, I have not found a very good way to collaborate. I don't think collaboration is a huge part of what those companies are working on. Again, maybe at some point they'll nail it, but if you do need to work as part of a team on certain tasks, maybe it's a literature review or maybe it is writing. You're probably not going to be doing it within the general purpose models. Writing and, think about writing, you're going to want to use Google Docs or Overleaf where you can share workspaces. It's hard to imagine doing that in Claude ChatGPT. The interactions I've had in terms of collaboration with those models has been you can copy and paste an entire Claude chat, you send it to your colleague, and then they can incorporate it into their Claude chat. So again, if you need to collaborate as part of a team, you need to work with a supervisor, a librarian, you should be probably using vertical tools for that. A couple more here. Conversation versus artifact. Yes, indeed. If you need to actually pump things out, pump out reports, you need to pump out and export a table. You need to create a presentation. Those things are generally going to be, there's often going to be some great vertical tools for those things. Even Canva, you can think of a little bit like a vertical tool. There's a lot of AI in Canva. I actually think the general purpose models are getting better at this, but at the moment, producing artifacts is really not something that's in those teams' wheelhouse, those products' wheelhouse. And then finally, this is a obvious one, but we spend a lot of time thinking about it from a product development perspective. If you go to the Moora site, you have an agent on the right. That's where people type things in. Then you have the interface itself, right? You're clicking through the interface, you're adding columns to your library, etc. And we spend a ton of time, frankly, thinking what is faster to do this particular task in the agent or to do it by sort of clicking through a site. Um, I think vertical tools are more interface driven, as I sort of alluded to. It is often going to be the case that if you're filtering, if you're working with a table, if you're sorting, you drag columns, you tag things. Once again, you click into things and click out of them. There is still that demand for sort of interface operations, let's call it. And that's not something, I think that's something that's a little bit harder to get with the general purpose models. Yes, you can sort of spin up applications in Claude and whatnot, but the point is, especially for very repetitive tasks that involve clicking through things, anywhere where, frankly, clicking is faster than typing out commands, that's going to be something that the vertical tools are good for. Research context, I'll say again, highlighting and annotating papers, screening papers, marking them as high, medium, low priority. Um, I would say probably anytime you're adding fields to a library table, that's going to be something that's faster to click through versus type in, add a table. So anywhere where you've got repetitive operations, you should be maybe clicking versus typing in short. So here's a decision table. I'm putting this up on My LinkedIn, you can go to my LinkedIn, John Frechette, and see this. And it goes through those kind of 6 examples. And then I've got some applications for research as well. However, what I really want to do is to close this out, walk through 2 very specific examples so you can see what I'm talking about here. Okay, so I've got a couple of cases in point. The first one is right here, plugged into Claude, 9 PDF documents. Obviously, most researchers are working with 25, 50, 100, 200, 1,000 references and sometimes PDF documents. So put in 9, manage these references for me, see attached, put them in table form. And of course, you can see the response I got. Your message will exceed the maximum image count for this chat. Try uploading 9 documents with fewer pages, removing pages, etc. I should mention I do pay for Claude. I pay, I think, for whatever the max premium account is. And so you can see right off the bat, this is a great example. General purpose model, probably not good for managing references, particularly where you've got a lot of PDFs. By contrast, you've got a tool like Moara. I hope just by the look and feel, you can tell some of the key differences. But indeed, right here we have not a huge number, but 44 papers we're working with. Okay, and indeed, you can add, I think it's up to 200 PDFs at once. Um, Not saying there's any particular amazing technology here and there. It's just a different set of use cases. We're very, very focused on one particular use case, whereas a product like Claude is a, once again, general purpose model. Let me go through one more example here. Search for academic papers on the effects of minimum wage increase on employment. Give me 50 results. We can see, by the way, the interface point I mentioned a second ago. Let's say I want to get real quick results. I need to get very quick search results. As you can already see, think about Google Scholar, for example. This is a minor thing, but I don't need to say search for academic papers on. I don't need to say give me a certain number of results. I can just type in the query, and on top of it, with Google Scholar, you don't get a bunch of just text. Instead, you get links you can actually click into. Google Scholar itself, Scholar Labs is AI, Google Scholar is not, but you can still see the importance of the interface, right? If you know what task you're working on, you know what tool to go to for it, you can get a much faster interface. Here, it would be pretty difficult to get all of these papers put together in usable format. I'll also say, I said, give me 50 results. This says, note up front, the tools I have can't return a structured list of 50 papers. Let me see what I can do with a web search. So look, this is once again not very usable. This is just not the right tool for this task. By contrast, if I go to Undermind is at its foundations an AI product. I mean, even more so than Moara, there's a ton of AI going on in Undermind. That's the whole basis for the site. In short, you plug in a research question, and obviously you get back, okay, not only great search results, not only 50 search results, but you also get back an interface that actually you can use to work through those search results. This might be kind of obvious, but it's a great example of a vertical AI tool. And basically, what's happening is, once again, there is on the back end some specific AI operations going on that are proprietary, that are specific to literature search. Things like look through this academic database, pull out these papers, do a re-ranking system, etc. And then, like I said, trained specifically on those academic papers, a database of those versus querying online information versus querying really broad training data. Okay, so it is my hypothesis that the direction that every major critical function, every major critical task is moving towards is one of verticalization. More and more vertical tools being introduced. And indeed, as we get further and further along in each industry or in each function or area, the percentage of your time spent using general purpose models will decrease significantly as you use more and more fit to purpose vertical tools. So if the call to action is anything here, it is to take a look at your most critical day-to-day tasks that A, have structured recurring data context processes, B, are high in volume, right? Working with a lot of references or needing a lot of search results or something like that. Well-defined tasks that you don't need to do a lot of brainstorming for. Um, Collaboration, multiple people working as part of a team. Output is a structured artifact versus just a back and forth chat. And then the interaction, somewhere where you actually need some interface operations or would like to be able to click around. Uh, those 6 rules are how you can determine where you should maybe be looking at and testing out some new vertical tools versus using ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini. And with that said, let me know in the comments if you have any questions or suggestions. Really appreciate the time. I'll be putting out more on these types of topics, so please subscribe if you enjoy this content. Thanks for the time.